Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 277 of a year of change. Today, I know we normally do snacks, but this week we're going off the rails for the rest of the week, pretty much. We're still going to keep things sort of food focused, but I want to go back and sort of revisit a few things that we looked at a long, long time ago. And especially given what the next 12 weeks hold for us, I think it's really, really important. So, if you remember a long time ago, what? Oh God, over 6 months now. When we first started making little food changes here and there, one of the big changes that we were going to make was this: water. This is something that I have not really been tracking the way that I should have for a very long time. I've always seemed to have a hard time. Always seemed to have had a hard time logging this, and I don't know if it's because I don't think of it, or if it's because it's just I'm focusing so much on the food aspect of it. But I can't talk at all. Where we are going to be starting doing some exercise, this is going to become much more important than it has in the past. And I'm going to put this down, otherwise it's going to be slushy and slurpy all over the place. The main reason why I sort of want to come back to water, I mean, we did this a few months ago. We went through, I'm not going to go through the whole thing again, where we went through, what percentage of body weight we are and how much we should drink and the differences between people and all the other stuff. It's nice to know that I'm probably a little closer to the 60 or 70% water than I was way back at 315 pounds, which is nice. But when we first started making those changes, and it was really a simple matter of just adding in, a liter of water, and then we eventually moved up to 2 liters, and we sort of left it there at drinking about 2 liters of water a day. And if you've stuck with it, then probably at this point, it's really the majority of what you drink. You might have, juice in the morning, or you might have a Coke if you're going out with friends, or, if you mix your drinks, then you'll have, stuff like that. Or what am I thinking of? Mix. I just tried not to think of another word that said that. Ugh. This is a horrible start. Tried not to say mix again because I wanted to have something else that meant the same thing. Oh my God, I'm fucking this whole thing up. Alright, you know why? Because I'm trying to rush through it. I'm trying to get this under 10 minutes and I might be able to do it. So, unless you're having juice for breakfast, or if you're mixing alcohol with your drinks like I do, like rum and Coke or something like that, then you'll probably have some Coke that way, or if you go out with friends or something. But for the most part, you're probably going to have the water. And we're going to keep on with that, and we're going to start actually tracking it more and more. Well, we're just tracking it. You can't really track it. Well, you can track it more. Track it more because I haven't tracked it at all. But sticking with that 2 liters per day, I know it's going to be different for everybody, but it's a good starting point for what we're trying to do. And the main reason why I sort of want to go back to this before we get into the exercise thing is, I mean, we've heard all the little stories that people say, well, it gives you energy and it wakes you up and it makes you feel better and it lubricates your joints and all the other bullshit. I mean, there's a little kernel of truth to those things. The reason why they say it wakes you up is that when you're dehydrated, you get tired because you're working harder. And it doesn't exactly lubricate things, but, if you're not dehydrated, then it's easier to move around and do stuff. So just in general, it is better for us. And we aren't going to be doing things like guzzling a gallon of water in the first thing in the morning before you go to work or anything. There are some people that are doing that just that's how they start their day. And throughout the course of a day, they'll have 2 or 3 of those big gallon jugs. I don't think we need to go that far just yet. That's for people that are really sort of hitting the gym really, really hard. But I want to sort of focus on the water aspect of it because, number one, it's not going to cost you anything. You don't have to go and buy energy drinks. You don't have to go and buy hydrators like Gatorade and all the other shit. Gatorade is really just salt and sugar and water. That's it. That's what the electrolytes are that you lost when you're doing it. And this is when people say, well, you sort of replenish yourself after a workout. These aren't the workouts that we're going to be doing, okay? And you'll hear the same thing about chocolate milk as well. Those are workouts that people that are like training for Ironman competitions are doing. 6 hours a day where they're just absolutely exhausted by the end of it. They can't walk the next day. That's when you go for things like, chocolate milk. And Gatorade is really, I don't know why it's just sort of, not just Gatorade, but all sports drinks. They're really just Kool-Aid with salt in them. And that's really all that they are. You can add in a whole bunch of other shit in there that you think sounds important. But in general, you don't need it. Water is really going to do everything that you need. We know now that we're getting more than enough salt in our diets. We're actually trying to cut back on that. We're getting way more sugar than we actually need. So trying to think, well, I need to replenish things after a workout that way, you don't really need to. But it is important that we do have water because as things progress, we are going to sweat. We are naturally sweaty people. We know this. But when we start working out, you are going to sweat, and you do need some of that moisture back. Or some of moisture. Fuck it. Sound like a plant. But you do need that water back. The best way to do that is just drink water again. You don't need anything fancy. You don't need anything special. You don't need to go out and buy anything. This is just, aside from sort of replacing like the bottle that I have, I do need to replace it again because it's getting a little icky. So every couple of months, I'll go and I'll buy. They're only like $1 for. Don't go out and buy the $5 bottles of bottled water. I should have just had $5 bottles of water. I can't talk at all. Just get the cheap kind because it doesn't really matter because you're going to drink it once and then you're going to refill it anyway. And what I generally do is I'll fill that up and I'll throw it in the freezer and then I take one out when I go to work. And the same thing when you're doing exercise, if you decide that you're going to a gym or even if you're doing it at home, you can take one out and just sort of go through that during your workout so that you're always going to have something. Because once we start getting dehydrated, and a lot of us may be we've gotten used to being dehydrated because we didn't really drink enough. Because when we were drinking stuff, we were drinking, fruit juice or Coke or Pepsi, just to be fair. We're drinking fizzy drinks, which just sort of adds in a whole bunch of extra crap with it. You are getting water with it. And even things like milk, there's a ton of water in milk as well, but we're really just sort of trying to keep things as simple as we can. And it's not saying, well, this is evil and you can't drink this and you can't drink that. Over the past few months, we've really gotten away from it anyway. So this is just sort of, we're going to try to increase that again. And no, I'm not going to put, a cap on it and say, well, you have to do at least 2 to 3 liters of water a day. You're going to know better than I do what you need. Like once you're thirsty, then, obviously you need water. And there is the argument there as well that they say that if you're thirsty, then you're already dehydrated. I honestly don't know if that's true, but it sort of makes sense. But a lot of things at a cursory glance make sense. But as long as we, keep the intake going, then you're probably going to be fine. But I just think it's really important to sort of start in on that before we get to the point where we're actually sweaty and thirsty and dry. And although, the past few days I've been going, I'm really dry. And, I've been guzzling water like crazy, but, it's winter here, so the heat turns on and everything, all the moisture gets sucked out of the air, and it never comes back because it doesn't rain, because it just snows, which it hasn't yet. It has just been raining. It's very close to Christmas, too, and I don't know if we're going to get snow. We might get a record high of, trying to think, 12 degrees centigrade or Celsius is, 50 something? Anyway, close enough. Way off topic there. But the main reason why I sort of wanted to come back to water is just because it's been such a long time since we touched on it. And we need to make sure that we are drinking enough, just in general, but also that we're still staying away from things like fruit juice and soda pop and chocolate milk. I'm going to put that in there as well because although the milk portion of it is okay, we really shouldn't be drinking that as our main fluid anyway. We do know there's still a lot of fat in it. There's a lot of sugar in it and stuff like that. So we aren't going to be doing the kind of workout that requires us to guzzle down half a liter of, or 700. How much else is half a liter? I'm trying to think of the imperial measurement. Big bottle. So we aren't going to have to guzzle down a big bottle of chocolate milk. Water is going to do us just fine. And from the very beginning, I didn't want this to ever be something that you would have to go out and buy something. And spending $3 or $4 for a bottle of sugar and salt and water is ridiculous. Water is going to do us just fine. But we do need to make sure that we're tracking it as well. And this is really more for me than anything else because I don't think I've tracked it more than a few days, the entire 9 months that we've been doing it. It's generally what I drink throughout the day anyway, is water, and then I'll have coffee at work. But even then, in my head, I think, well, I've had probably, I have like a big tumbler, and I'll finish 3 or 4 of those in a day. So that's usually around 2 liters. But without tracking it, the same thing with food. If you're just sort of estimating and you're just taking a blind guess, then no, you don't really know how much you're drinking. So, anyway, I have been babbling. I'm going to try to think of something that I haven't said yet, because otherwise, we're almost over 10 minutes. I think that's it. That's all I wanted to do, just to sort of stress the importance of it. If this has been a horrible video. I can't talk at all. I'm babbling all over the place, and I don't even know if I've really relayed any information. This is sort of a reminder more than anything else. I don't want to sort of, as I say, I don't want to go back into the whole slew of what water can do for us. We already did that. If you're curious to look at that, I don't remember what day it was. I should have looked that up before I started this. But anyway, it's called Water 101. I remember that much. And it was a long time ago. It was like within the first 10 weeks, I think that we did that. Because we wanted to sort of start adding in little bits at a time, and starting with that 1 liter and then moving on to 2 liters. And I mean, once you go beyond that, then it just starts to get a little ridiculous. So eventually you might get to a point when you're doing exercise where you are going to be downing that gallon of water at the end of it, which is fine. It's not going to hurt you. I mean, unless you're breathing it in which case you're going to drown. So don't do that. But as far as drinking it, because we've all heard that as well, when you get water intoxication, you have to drink a tremendous amount. You'll be okay. It'll be all right. But in general, I just wanted to sort of jog our memory with this for the same reason why we sort of touched on, okay, this is what we did when we first started doing the exercise. Same thing with the water. Some of you may have sort of faltered and you haven't been drinking as much as you should be. Some of you, like me, have not been tracking it as well. MyFitnessPal actually has a section in there just for water. So you can just go through and measure, I think it goes by cups, which is kind of weird. But I mean, the little bottle that I have, you can get those. That's 1,000 milliliters. That's 4 cups. So that'll give you a rough idea. So when people say we need to drink 8 glasses of water a day, well, it depends on how big you are. And it depends on how much fat you have, and it depends on how much you've been working out and how much you're sweating. Depends on how hot it is, if you're sweating more that way. Depends on if you've gone to the bathroom and you just need to replenish stuff. Whole bunch of stuff. That's one thing that you can look at as well. It's going to turn gross. Sorry. And yep, we're over 10 minutes. Sorry. Now, this isn't something that you're going to need to do. You don't need to, every time that you pee, you don't need to go and measure the color or anything. But they say that if it's sort of a light, what would I say, honey color, maybe, then you're okay. You're getting enough fluids. If it's the darker it gets and the more yellow it gets, then the more dehydrated you are. And you'll be able to tell right away at that stage if it's really dark, then you're dehydrated. So, and it doesn't take much. Sometimes you don't even feel it. So it's something that we need to be really wary of. And especially where we're going to be starting something new for a lot of us and exerting ourselves a little bit more. I mean, those fluids are going to be coming out anyway. We're going to be sweating them out. You breathe them out all the time. So you want to make sure that you still have, enough in you. That sounds really weird. But you know what I mean. It makes sense. Anyway, so that's really all I wanted to do, to sort of touch base with that and jog our memory that way. Because, and as I say, I'm just as bad as anybody else out there because I've never really tracked this properly. Because it's just, you don't think of it. Because just as you drink throughout the day, unless you're taking the time to actually say, okay, now I'm going to sit and drink some water, you don't think of it. And for a lot of us, where we've gotten away from all the old stuff that we used to drink all the time, I mean, it's part of your daily routine. When you're thirsty, you go and you get a drink of water. You don't get chocolate milk or juice or, a fizzy drink or, what's the other one? I was trying to think. Energy drinks. Oh, there's another thing. Energy drinks are pretty much just sugar and water. Anyway, it's the exact same thing as a sports drink, except it doesn't have all the salt in it. And one in particular has an ingredient called taurine, that's what makes it just so awesome. Which, by the way, in case you're wondering, has bile in it. Just so you know, I think. I might be wrong. No, I don't think I am. There's one, and it might be that. The ingredient might be wrong, but it's basically, it's just found in animal bile. So that's what you've been drinking, thinking that you're so cool. And it does fuck all for you. So you might as well just drink sugar water, because it's going to pretty much do the exact same thing. But obviously we want to get away from that. Plain water is just fine for what we need. It's going to suit our purpose. Later on down the road, when you are hitting the gym 5 or 6 hours a day and you're lifting weights and you're doing marathons and everything else, then yeah, you can go and you can take a look at what else that you might need. And at that stage, you're going to start learning more and more and more. But for right now, we're mainly looking just to sort of get moving again. Get into a routine where we're doing regular exercise. And then as it increases, we're going to, it's going to get a little more difficult to do. But then we stay on that path until we get used to it, and then we increase it again. But part of it is sweatiness. Sweatiness. Sweat something. I think sweatiness is probably a good descriptive term. I feel like I'm missing something here. Anyway, this has really been horrible. I should probably start this over. I don't think I'm going to, though, because I've gotten out all the information that I need to, and I don't think I've repeated myself too much. And yeah, we're going to stay under 20 minutes. So I'm going to leave this video here. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. And in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.